Hello and welcome back to On the Workbench. Today we've got a very special unboxing and review here for you today. This is the brand new Kobalt 24V XTR brushless 21 degree framing nailer. Who's excited about this? We have another addition to the Kobalt nailer lineup. For years we waited for nailers. Now we're getting a whole family of nailers. Today we've got the 21 degree framing nailer. There is also a cousin to it, if you will. That is a 30-degree nailer. This is the 21 today. You can tell them apart on the box by looking at the little box here on the front, whether it says 21 or 30 degrees. That affects the angle of the framing nails that you're using. All right, let's turn around and look at the back of the box for some stats on this tool, at least as it's claimed. We've got air spring technology here. That's what's going to propel it with the battery here. Up to 3 nails per second. Tool-free depth adjustment. Note that does not say tool-free jam clearance. Kind of interesting what's not said there on the box. Up to 1,000 nails per charge with a 4 amp hour battery. Dry fire lockout. We've got a light in the front here and an integrated storage hook. Interesting what's pointing here to nothing because the hook is right back here. Onboard buttons here. I'm expecting those to be electronic control buttons. And down here in the corner, we have our 5-year warranty on the tool. And this is a tool only. So there's no battery, there's no charger in this box. At least I'm not expecting there to be one. And so now let's open the box and see what we get. All right, so in the box here, we've got some cardboard. All right, this one's got some manuals and accessories with it. We've got some cardboard, and then we've got the star of the show here. And that is our tool. So let's go ahead and take it out of the bag and see what we're working with here. All right, so what we've got here, we have our framing nailer. First thing I notice here on the back is there's a rafter hook. Maybe that's what that arrow was pointing to on the box. But that's a nice little addition, like a circular saw that if you're framing up, you can hang this on a rafter. We'll check if that fits over a 2x4. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't clear a normal size 2x stud. We've got our magazine here to hold our nails. Interesting, there's an extra little screw hole here that's open. I'm anticipating that's probably that if this were the 30-degree part here, it would connect here. I'm going to guess that's a different part, but then they could just interchange this and use the same tool for the rest of it with that open hole, but that might leave some accessories for you. We've got a spot here on the left side for a belt hook. Flip it around the other side, we've got a spot for a belt hook on the other side, so if you're left or right-handed, that's good news. Obviously, you could use the rafter hook as a belt hook, or I guess you could remove it. We have an onboard Allen key here, which I suspect is why it doesn't say tool-free jam removal. And then we look at the bottom here, you can see on the offset, there's our motor, and you can see a little access port here for a fan right there. Right up here at the nose, this is going to be our depth adjustment to make the nail go deeper or lower. And that's obviously going to depend on the material that you're going into and your specific application. All right, so that's the tool. Now let's see what about the other accessories that we have that go with it. All right, so we got some paperwork and we've got some other parts here. Open up the first bag here. We've got our manual. And then we also have what they're including in newer tools now, the 24-volt product lineup. I really wish Lowe's would post this on their website, since this shows basically everything that's out somewhat currently in the lineup. But I digress from talking about the nailer. In the other bag here, we've got belt clip. We've got a screw, what appears to be a backing plate for the belt clip. Seems a little weird. And then we've got our Allen key screw for that. And then this, I'm going to take a guess, is a non-marring tip adapter for the front of the nailer. If we take a look at this, I think this will probably go around, something like that. And it can slide on or slide off. One of the things that I'm not seeing with this is a place to be able to store that actually on board the tool, so that if you want to use a non-marring tip or not. But the one thing with these non-marring tips, if you're doing normal framing applications, you have no use for these, because you're going to want the tip here to be able to dig into your framing application, especially if you're doing a bunch of toe nailing. But nice that they include it here. As far as the belt hook here, let's go ahead and try to install this here. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put this on the left side of the tool. And in this case here, we've got this little adapter right here, little backing plate. I'm going to go ahead and slide that right over there, like that. And then I'm just going to put this right here. And I did not see an Allen key for putting this on, but let's see if the onboard Allen key for jam clearing would also double for this. That would be pretty nifty, wouldn't it? All right, so we'll put the Allen screw here on the end of, or at least try. What do you know? It's the same size head. Well, that's pretty great. I like that they made that the same size. And for those of you keeping track at home for what size this wrench is, that is a 4mm wrench. I've got a 4mm hex key here. I can also use to make this go just a little faster, or in case I lose my onboard hex key, we're looking at a metric 4mm. As I tighten this down, it's interesting on this belt hook here. This is definitely a different design for a Cobalt tool. Never seen this specific style. And it does not appear I could use a more traditional, normal Cobalt belt hook, if you will, with this. And then if you look at the screw here, you could pull out the magazine as part of your jam clearance. Hex key fits in there, no problem. And then you've got a couple other screws here in the front you can remove to open up and be able to clear out a jam, should that happen. Would be nice if this were a tool-free jam removal. It's not, but we can live with that. And before I forget, let me put away this Allen key here back on board the tool there, snaps back in place. All right, so there's our look at the tool there, but let's get some dimensions on how big this tool is. All right, so now I got my tape measure here, and we're gonna measure the tool here. So just looking here front to back, we're looking at just under, or right about 15 inches. If we go along the longest dimension from the top to the nail, to the toe there, we're looking at right just about 15¼ inches. And if we're looking side by side across the width of the front, that is coming in about 4¾ inches wide. Now for comparison purposes here, I've got my Porter cable 21-degree framing nailer putting right in front of it here. And one of the most noticeable things that you see on this is, number one, the Porter cable here is much girthier on that piston head cylinder top there, but also the length of this magazine right here is about an extra 5 inches longer for being able to store more nails on board the tool. A lot of similarities here between the tools here. The Porter cable here on this does have a slightly different style non-marring head here that goes right around the end here, but this does have, if I take this off here, some really good teeth here for digging in, for being able to get a really good toenail. All right, now to see how much a nailer weighs, I've once again borrowed my wife's kitchen scale. I've got it on to 0, and let me get the mode just right there. We'll go to pounds, and so we'll start with the bare tool nailer. I've got a couple nails in here. There's no battery on the tool here, and I don't know how well you can see this here, but it's coming in at 9.638 pounds. but there's no battery on that, so that's not the whole story. So let's now consider the lightest configuration with the 2 amp hour battery. See if I can balance this right. And with the 2 amp hour battery, we're at 10.67 pounds for the tool. All right, now if you really want to skip arm day at the gym and you want to use the 8 amp hour ultimate output battery, the heaviest battery currently made, let's put that on there. That puts it at 11.4 pounds. So 11.4 at the ultimate output 8 amp hour battery. Just for comparison, let's get my pneumatic nailer over here. There's no way to measure the weight of the pneumatic hose and the drag that's going to pull, but if we just take this tool here, this might be a little bit more tricky to get on the scale. All right, we'll do it this way. Hopefully my hand doesn't. And we're at about 7.67, so definitely lighter, but you also have the hose, and how do you assign a weight to the hose? One of the things with this is with that battery, you could actually go for a 2 amp hour battery, a 4 amp hour battery. The box is suggesting a 4 amp hour battery. I mean, I think depending upon your application, the number of chargers you've got around, 2 amp hour, maybe you go with a 4 amp hour ultimate output. Maybe you got a whole sequence of those you can rotate through, but you also don't have that tail coming out the rear end that's going to follow you around for your air compressor. You don't have that extra compressor to plug in. And so on a job site, much quieter without that air compressor going. And it's one less thing to have to figure out, can you reach with your hose? You move your compressor, because it all fits right here in your hand. And so certainly you're sacrificing the pneumatic piece of it for the convenience of the battery. So one of the things to pay attention to here is the 21-degree number, because you can buy framing nails in different angles and different sizes. The other thing here is this says round head. What I'm excited is that does not say clipped head. There are some nailers on the market that are for clipped head nails that are not full round. Not every location's codes allows for a clipped head nailer. That's why my Porter cable is a full round nail. And I've got several cases of these full round plastic collated nails. In this case here, these are the Grip Fast round head framing nails, 21. You notice the brown and the brown kind of color code and match on the sticker there. Makes it a little bit easier for you to be able to pay attention to what you're doing. And now with the tool on its side, I'm going to take my sleeve of these nails. I'm going to slide them in. Then just simply grab this lever, push it back. And I've got another broken sleeve of nails, because one of the things with a lot of these nail guns, there's going to be a handful of nails that it actually can't shoot, or it's going to lock out as part of a dry fire lockout. And so I'm going to see if I can then butt up a couple of these that are a little bit short. According to the manual, there's going to be about 7 nails that are left behind whenever you go to use this. And that when it gets to 7 or less, it'll stop functioning and it'll trigger that dry fire lockout. All right, now to test the tool, one thing that's not included in the box that you should always have when using a tool like this is a pair of safety glasses. We're going to put those on. I've got a 2 amp hour battery here. I'm just going to go ahead and make this as lightweight as possible. And in this case here, you can hopefully see 4 bars of charge. We'll slide that right on there. And let me get some sample lumber. All right, there we go. We've got some 2x material here. This is just some stock here that I've cut up. Let's first of all, we're going to check that rafter hook. If we fold that rafter hook out, that can definitely clear 2x material to hang it from that. And now let's set up something really simple here. All right, so now with the scrap lumber here, we're going to set up a really simple test. We'll try to do a little quick toenail right here. Now, one of the things I have no idea on, I've kind of tinkered with the depth gauge here, somewhere in the middle here to figure out the depth that I need to do this. And then, obviously, the first thing I do here, since there's no air compressors around, is to turn on the tool. I'm going to reach right in here. There's an on-off button right there. Press it on. Green light indicates on. And then there is another indicator light over here for a single head. I don't know how well that's coming through here on camera. That has 1 or 3. I'll put on 1 for a single shot. 3 should be for the bump fire mode. So for a single shot, hopefully my arm doesn't get in the way here on camera. I've got the non-marring tip off, and then I'm going to simply press this in. See the LED light come on there. There's a fire right there. I want to go a little bit deeper. We'll make a little adjustment there. There we go. Not necessarily a great setup here. I'm just trying to do a little quick benchtop demo of how this would work. We're going to drop another example of what framing might look like. Obviously, you want proper stud spacing, so on and so forth, to get your nails sunk properly and everything else up to code. But we'll come in here. There we go. And so just that simple. And maybe you noticed and you saw it fly away, the plastic collations flying off here, off to the side as the nails were driven. That's going to happen with any nailer, whether it's a Cobalt or otherwise. And so now the next thing I want to do is to be able to do a quick little check, because it did have that bump fire mode. Let's change that to bump fire here on the switch by just pushing the button on the right. And then now I should just be able to pull the trigger. All right, just like that, we've got that bump fire there. I don't know that I would ever hit 3 nails per second, but obviously that is what the gun is rated for. So now before I go to service this, or I want to do anything else, I can simply remove the battery to render the tool safe. A couple of other specs on here that I think is worth pointing out. Back here on the back of the nail magazine, this is rated for 20 to 22 degree nails with a nail diameter of 0.113 to 0.131 inches for a full round head, and between 2 and 3.5 inches long. And the best part is if you forget it, it's all right here on the tool. All right, just for fun, here is a shot of all of my Cobalt 24-volt nailers, fasteners, all put together here. Nice little fun collection here that we've got. Remember just a few years ago how we never thought we would see a brad nailer, but now we've got the stapler, 3/8 stapler, various lengths. We got the pin nailer. That was one of the most recent additions. One of my favorite tools. We've got the 16 gauge finish nailer. And what started it all with the 18 gauge brad nailer. If you look here just for side by side, the framing nailer is just a touch taller than the brad nailer. And then of course our brand new framing nailer. This is the 21. There is the 30 degree. I'm not going to pick up the 30 degree. I've got 21 nails stashed like crazy, so the 21's good for me. You do what's right for you. Now what's missing here is obviously a roofing nailer. How nice would that be to have?